you so much for joining us this evening. I am Kathy Lewis, and on this week before Thanksgiving, we are truly thankful that you are here with us tonight for the Darden Awards for Regional Leadership. Of course, we are pleased to see each and every one of you tonight, and we have a record-breaking crowd, and that is a beautiful thing indeed. But we do have a number of special guests we want to recognize tonight, and our first honored guest comes before all others. She had the great joy of being married to Josh Darden, for whom tonight's honors are named. Betty Darden, it is always a great night when you are able to join us. Thank you so much for being here. And I know he does not mind playing second fiddle to Mrs. Darden, but we are also delighted to have with us 3rd District Congressman Bobby Scott tonight. Thank you so much for being here, Congressman. And from Senator Mark Warner's office, Hampton Roads Regional Director Drew Lumpkin joins us. Thanks for being here, Drew. I want to take a moment to recognize some folks that we are truly honored to have with us tonight, and that is nearly every individual Darden Award honoree. Isn't that amazing? So isn't that wonderful? Yes. So I hope that you will stand as you are able. We're glad to have Harry Lester with us tonight, as well as Jackie Zell, Debbie DeCroce, Vince and Suzanne Mastracco, Debbie Wynn, Joan and Macon Brock, and John Lawson. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I think that's pretty extraordinary. And as you may know, it is past Darden honorees and other selected community members who actually join us each year to choose the Darden honoree. And we are so glad to have with us tonight Frank Batten from Landmark Media Enterprises and Gil Bland, who is undertaking the rebirth of the Urban League with help from the Civic Leadership Institute. And our treasured mentor, Gil Minor, is with us tonight, the retired chairman of Owens and Minor. Gil, we are very, very fortunate that you and Charlotte are splitting your time between Norfolk and Richmond. We are all the better for it. Representing the city of Norfolk tonight, we'd like to welcome Councilman Martin Thomas, who is an alum from the class of 2017, and Councilwoman Mamie Johnson, who's in the present class of 2018. And since education has always been a key focus of our individual honoree tonight, what a pleasure it is to have with us from Randolph-Macon College, President Robert Lindgren, and from Virginia Wesleyan University, President Scott Miller, and from Longwood University, President Taylor Reevely IV. Thank you all so much for being here. As well, we're very happy to have Norfolk's Treasurer-elect, Delegate Dawn Hester, with us tonight. So would you join me in thanking our honored guests? It was about 5 years ago when President John Broderick wanted to create a unique experience for high-performing ODU students. So we sat down together and we brainstormed a program called Civic Scholars. And today that program is well established, shaping young people for the world of work and service. It all starts in the community that we have established at the university, and we have now extended to Tidewater Community College. Our students participate in monthly programs that introduce them to the world of public life, preparing them to take an active role in their destination communities. And I'm so glad to let you know that increasingly, Hampton Roads is that destination community. So now we're getting young people who graduate and hit the ground running. They understand the importance of community engagement, they bring skills to it, and they already have relationships with mentors from our executive program to help them make that very important transition from student to citizen. Now, President Broderick had hoped to be with us tonight, but he was called out of town a bit earlier than he anticipated. And I'm pretty sure if he were here, he'd have talked about the impact of the program on our students, and that would have been wonderful and appropriate. But while we miss him tonight, I am personally glad to have the opportunity to share with you just how transformative ODU support has been as we continue to grow the program and see more of its results right here in Hampton Roads. Ladies and gentlemen, on either side of the stage right now, you will see our civic scholars, and would you join me in welcoming them? Just on that side. Thank y'all so much. Leading our efforts this year are two of the region's finest leaders. Would you join me, please, in welcoming Kay Kemper, this year's event chair, and Ann Connor, who is last year's chair and this year's vice chair.
We're so happy you're here tonight to honor an extraordinary Hampton Roads native, George Birdsong, for all that he has done for our region, our state, and even the world.
And we're thrilled to be able to honor Dollar Tree for leading the way in philanthropy and volunteerism here in Hampton Roads. And I'm also proud to say that Bob Sasser and I graduated together from the best civic class ever, the class of 2002.
Events like these simply aren't possible without extraordinary sponsorship support, and the printed program you received tonight contains the names of all those who've supported our efforts this evening. I'll ask you to hold your applause until we've noted the contributions of a few key people. We are so grateful to have our AV team who have helped us and hopefully will continue to help us make this event run seamlessly. Please join me in thanking Productive AV. And the honoree video you're about to see tonight was created by the terrific production team at WHRO, led by Jeff Fine. We're especially grateful to videographer Brandon Nance, who brought a wonderful eye to the project.
For the fourth year in a row, we are proud to have Inside Business as this year's media partner. If you have enjoyed this year's edition of the glossy insert featuring our honorees, it is all thanks to the hard work of Mike Herron, Ski Miller, and their teams.
Many thanks to our title sponsors, Town Bank and Landmark Media Enterprises.
Many thanks to our icon sponsors, Charlotte and Gil Minor, the City of Norfolk, Kaufman and Knowles. Thanks as well to our table sponsors, Access College Foundation, Birdsong Peanuts, Children's Hospital of the King's Daughters, the Chrysler Museum of Art.
C.W. Brinkley Incorporated, EVMS, Hampton Roads Community Foundation, Harvey Lindsay Commercial Real Estate, and Horrigan Construction.
KPMG, Newport News Shipbuilding, OBC Healthcare Foundation, Old Dominion University, Old Point National Bank, Randolph-Macon College, Reinvent Hampton Roads.
Centera Healthcare, Signature Family Wealth Advisors, SunTrust Bank, the Franklin Johnson Group, and Virginia Wesleyan.
Virginia Foundation for Independent Colleges, Westminster Canterbury, Wilbanks, Smith and Thomas, and the YMCA of South Hampton Roads.
You will find a full list of all of our generous donors in your programs. Many thanks to each of you for your support of Civic, the Darden Awards, and tonight's award recipients.
Thanks to our sponsors. Donna Ellis has been such a force for good in our region, especially in her role as chair of the Civic Board. Under Donna's leadership, Civic is stepping up to an even more meaningful role in the issues that face Hampton Roads. Ladies and gentlemen, would you join me in welcoming and thanking Donna Ellis?
Thank you, Ann and Kay. We are so pleased tonight to have not one, but two presenting sponsors. Our corporate Darden Award recipient from last year stepped up in a big way to support this year's event. And we are so grateful to Landmark Media Enterprises for their title sponsorship. Would you please join me in thanking Frank Batten, Jr. Town Bank was so excited to be part of this year's event that they're committing to sponsoring the Darden Awards as title sponsor for 3 years. And I'm delighted to welcome the President and Chief Banking Officer of Town Bank, Morgan Davis.
Thank you. 30 years ago on a Saturday, my phone rings. And one of my customers is calling in a panic. He says, I need you to help me with a big problem. I have a man here with a check, and it's drawn on your bank, and I need to know if it's good. So I know your bank's closed today, but I've got to know before I release this merchandise that this check is good. I said, well, I don't have access to the computer systems. Whose check is it? And I can hear him rustling on the phone. He says, it's a guy named Macon Brock. I said, Macon Brock? He said, well, I guess, whatever. I said, well, let me tell you what, that check is good. He said, no more, you don't understand. I haven't told you how much it's for. It's a big check. I said, whatever it is, add a zero to it, and it's good. 10 minutes later, Macon Brock drives off in a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. The next time I saw him, he said, Morgan, quote, I wish you'd told him the check was no good. Because he had a little accident with it. But so if you think about that leader of Dollar Tree, and you think about what success and what leadership really is. Bob Sasser, the current CEO of Dollar Tree, I saw a quote he wrote. He said, our family of employees at Dollar Tree focus on 5 things when it comes to volunteering. Family, the arts, education, food banks, and the environment. Compare his quote and his vision for leadership and success with what an American essayist and a poet from 150 years ago said, named Ralph Waldo Emerson, when he talked about success. Mr. Emerson said this. He said, try to laugh loud and often. Win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children. Try to leave the world a better place, whether it's through a healthy child, a small garden plot, or a redeemed social condition. And remember, if you can make even one life breathe easier because you lived, then you have succeeded. I think there are a lot of intelligent people in this room who respect Dollar Tree, and I hope you will enjoy this short film about an incredible company, Dollar Tree.
Sales, return on investment, shareholder return. The corporate lingo is spoken on every corner of the business world these days. We've all heard them before, but for just a moment, we at Dollar Tree would like you to consider it in a different context, one in which the corporate bottom line gives back, extends into the community, and blesses the human concern. The proof is never far from home, and the numbers speak for themselves. For 6 years now, Dollar Tree associates have participated in Junior Achievements Bowl-a-thon, supporting K-12 programs that foster workforce readiness, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy skills to students in our local schools. The money raised stays in our local community to the tune of $100,000, giving more than 3,000 local students a better shot at success. And our associates are the true heroes. In the last 5 years, they've collected more than 44,000 pounds of food, providing more than 32,000 meals in our local community for the Food Bank of Virginia. October will be our 4th year walking in support of the American Cancer Society's Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. More than 400 associates raising around $40,000 so far, and the final totals aren't in. Since 2011, to help find a cure for diabetes, 120 volunteers and over 250 associates have pedaled hundreds of miles in the Tour de Cure. They've raised more than $160,000. On a national scale is our sponsorship of Operation Homefront, a nonprofit organization that provides critical financial assistance, transitional and permanent housing, and support services to our military families. I don't have to tell you, this is a desperate need, especially in our local community. Over the years, Dollar Tree has donated and collected more than $100 million to benefit Operation Homefront. Let me emphasize, Dollar Tree isn't merely writing checks. This was and is our generous customers and our associates who donate and volunteer to make it possible. Through Homefront, Dollar Tree supports 2 in-store collections, the Holiday Toy Drive and the Back to School Brigade. Since our involvement, more than $70 million in toys have been donated by Dollar Tree customers to support military children. These toys are distributed at various events nationwide during the December holiday season. In 2016 alone, more than $8 million in toys were graciously donated. I have to tell you, the generosity of our customers and associates is amazing. And then there's the Back to School Brigade, launched in 2008, which provides essential school supplies and ensures that each military child starts the school year prepared for success. This effort saves military families over $500 each year. More than 41,000 backpacks full of school supplies were distributed to military families this year alone. Over 300,000 backpacks total have been provided to our military friends and neighbors. Dollar Tree believes in taking care of our own right here at home too. For more than 9 years, associates at our store support center have participated in Operation Homefront's Joy of Giving program, adopting more than 150 local military families and spreading holiday cheer to more than 400 children. Our annual support helps sustain our beautiful Elizabeth River and our Lynn Haven River. Again, our associates are the engines of care, participating in multiple Clean the Bay Days. And since 2006, Dollar Tree has sponsored the Growing Wetlands in the Classroom project in southeastern Virginia, an effort that provides 240 local schools and 7,000 students the opportunity to learn about the region's wetlands and the impact on the Chesapeake Bay. Dollar Tree has always placed a high priority on education, children, and the arts. We support the Access Scholarship Foundation, the Virginia Foundation of Independent Colleges, REACH, 4Kids, the Boys and Girls Club of America, CHKD, and the Chrysler Museum, among others. It's easy to see the thrill of the hunt has inspired the joy of giving back. A blessed family at Christmas, a well-educated child, new answers to incurable diseases. These are the greatest returns on investment. I'm happy to say the spirit of generosity and the tireless outpouring of care is alive and well under the Dollar Tree. I'm so proud of our people, and we are so honored to receive the Darden Award for 2017.
And now it is my honor to present the Corporate Darden Award for Regional Leadership to Dollar Tree. Accepting on behalf of Dollar Tree is Executive Chairman Bob Sasser.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for 580 of my closest friends turning out this evening to see my video debut. I'm honored to accept the award on behalf of Dollar Tree and our Dollar Tree associates. I couldn't be more proud of the things that all of our people do. They work hard every day doing their job at Dollar Tree, and then they also give tremendous outreach into the community and volunteerism and ways of serving the community. I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all for the hard work and all that you do for our company and for the community. And I want to take just a minute, and she's probably not going to like this, but I want to thank someone, especially Shelley Davis, who's sitting right back there somewhere. If I could wave, Shelley, so I can see you. I just want to say that Shelley is instrumental. There you go. Thank you. Shelley, all the things you saw in the video, Shelley organizes, she promotes, She inspires enthusiasm, she follows up, and she makes it happen. Without Shelley, we wouldn't do a lot of the things, certainly not as well as we do them. So thank you, Shelley, for all that you do. Our group is caring and active, and as shown in the video, they're demonstrating our values. Riding bicycles in the American Diabetes Foundation, for the American Diabetes Foundation, walking for breast cancer research, bowling for junior achievement, collecting toys and school supplies for kids, collecting food to feed those in need. Dollar Tree has long been a sponsor and supporter of families and kids and education and the arts. We have aided in protecting the environment through donations of time and volunteerism and money to clean the bay and to support much needed initiatives on the Lynn Haven River and the Elizabeth River. And while our focus is on the region, when national emergencies occur and the need is real, our Dollar Tree people step up because it's the right thing to do. Most recently, when we had hurricanes in Houston, followed immediately by hurricanes in Florida that basically wiped out all the electricity in Florida for a period of time, put Houston underwater. Our Dollar Tree associates responded quickly with donations to disaster relief and the American Red Cross. Over the course of 4 weeks, Dollar Tree people donated and raised over $1.5 million to help people in their time of need. The speed and resolve to help in times of need is truly amazing. Our roots and our homes are here in Hampton Roads. While we are now a larger, more diverse company, our basic principles remain the same as when the company was founded 31 years ago. Some of the things are the same, like the price point. Everything is $1 at Dollar Tree. And if Macon and Joan were here, I would say, great idea, by the way. I think we're onto something here. But that's not all. With now more than 15,000 stores and 170,000 associates across North America, our core values, as established by our founders, remain strong. We believe in honesty and integrity in all that we do. We believe in treating people with dignity and respect. We believe in offering a helping hand to those in need. And we believe that with success comes an obligation to share with the community. It is with great pride that we accept this honor. Thank you again for this prestigious award.
And now to present the individual Darden Award for Regional Leadership, Dr. Billy Greer, who served for 23 years as president of Virginia Wesleyan.
In the spring of 1992, the month of March to be exact, I was invited to come to this part of the world and interview for the presidency of Virginia Wesleyan. That day I was escorted to a fairly large room, and I walked in and it was wall-to-wall people. There were students, faculty, staff, board members. And so for about 2.5 hours, they grilled me about this position. At the end of the 2.5 hours, and I would say to some of you, if you don't ever have to go through that, don't do it, okay? At the end of that 2.5 hours, the chair of the committee turned to everybody in the room and said, are there any other questions that somebody would like to ask Billy Greer? And I thought to myself, Mr. Chairman, why in the world did you give them that kind of invitation? And so when he completed his sentence, a hand shot up in the air. And it was the first time I had really and truly laid my eyes on George Birdsong. And he said to me, he said, Billy, do you know much about peanuts. I could see a twinkle in his eye that I've seen many times since then, so I decided that I would let him have one right back. And I said, well, Mr. Birdsong, I know this, peanuts don't grow on trees. The room erupted into laughter, and a friendship was launched that day that I shall always cherish. I could sum it up about George Birdsong in just a few words. George Birdsong makes every organization he is involved with better. Whether it's teaching a Sunday school class at the Main Street United Methodist Church, whether it's Randolph-Macon, whether it's the Virginia Foundation for Independent Colleges, whether it's Washington and Lee, he makes a difference wherever he lands. He was the first chairman of the Obacy Health Foundation, and he was in that chair for 10 years. Yes, George Birdsong makes a difference in organizations he's involved with. I have sat with him in meetings that looked to be in a deadlock, and I would be wondering what in the world we were going to do to move this project along. And in his quiet and passionate way, he would ask, what kind of world will we leave our children if we don't take care of this? Just that one question would send the naysayers running and the project moving ahead. Another of George Birdsong's passions is the Suffolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority. This was an important vision of his for a long time. Anybody that's ever been involved with a housing authority knows the countless hours that are spent working with a project like that. I'm told by some of his friends in Suffolk that he was the catalyst behind that great idea. So he appeared before the city council, and they approved it, and then they turned to him and said, we want you to be the first chair. And he was. And from 1971 to 1984, he gave terrific leadership to the Suffolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority. Birdsong Peanut Company learned one day of a peanut paste that was on the horizon and that it was already being used in some pockets around the world to address world hunger. And when Birdsong Peanut Company found out about this, they jumped on that project so that they could be involved in it as well. And then George began to look around and look for other ways that project might be applied. And he began conversations with Operation Smile right here in this community. Because Operation Smile said that we have children delivered to our doorsteps who are not healthy enough to undergo the surgery that they need to undergo. And so they found out that the peanut paste was the right answer for children who were undernourished, underweight. And in just only a few weeks, George tells me, they could get those young people, those children, to the point of undergoing surgery. All right, are you getting the drift of what I'm saying? This man, his wife Sue, and their family these people are pointing the way for the rest of us. George's job as CEO of the peanut company is traveling a good bit. And I understand that one day he pulled into a parking place at a big hotel in Washington, D.C. And the bellman came out, and the bellman said to him, "Good morning, Admiral. How are you doing today, Admiral? Is there anything I can do for you, Admiral?" And about the third or fourth time he called him an admiral, George said, "Sir, I am not an admiral in the United States Navy. I'm the CEO of Birdsong Peanut Company." With that, the bellman backed off and looked at him up and down, and he said, "Well, sir, I didn't know what it was you were, but I knew whatever it was, you were head of it." George just has that kind of aura about him, doesn't he? And aren't we glad? Because he's at the epicenter of so many worthy projects. If you would join me now in looking at one of these screens to my right or left, and we're going to see a video that runs about 11 minutes about George Birdsong and his work. Watch with me.
When your name is George Birdsong, a peanut is a promise. A promise to families, a promise to the community, a promise to the world. It all started with a feed and seed store in Cortland in 1914. By the 30s, the Birdsongs were shelling peanuts, but in 1939, their plant burned. And that's when the founder of Planters Peanuts, Amadeo Obisi, asked T.H. Birdsong's 5 sons to relocate closer to his plant. And Suffolk has never been the same.
My grandfather was mayor of Suffolk a long, long time ago. Sue's father was mayor of Suffolk, and more recently. But I'd rather be someone behind the scenes trying to make something happen and maybe affect what's going to happen, rather than be the one that's out front with it, so to speak.
I can't think of a finer leader. I really can't. And he's been like this since we met. We met in the 2nd grade. He doesn't remember it. I'm still very upset over that.
I don't remember her until the 5th grade.
It was the 2nd grade, because when I saw him, I thought, I think he's the one. And I made certain that he knew that I was the one that he wanted to be with. And we dated all through school, all through high school. And if he was the president of something, I was the secretary of it. He was the president of the student body, I was the secretary of the student body. And it went all through like that. And then we graduated from Suffolk High together. He went to Washington Lee, I went to Longwood. He graduated in 61. And a week later, I gave him a week, we were married. And we have been for 56 years since then.
I was going to redevelopment housing meetings and that type of thing, and some of those pretty long-winded events, and Sue was home with the kids and raising them, so she has really been the one that should get all the credit for our fine 3 children.
Suffolk High School, the site of that great romance, closed its doors in 1990. And before long, the Birdsongs helped fund a plan to transform it into the Suffolk Cultural Arts Center. Their friend Lynn Callis went to Suffolk High as well and married Sue's best friend.
And whenever I'm close to somebody, for whatever reason, I find myself thinking about them and trying to figure out, well, what word most captures that person for me. And with George, the word is helpful. I have heard him use it time and time again in all kinds of different circumstances. Something pops up and he'll say, you know, wonder what would be helpful in this situation.
I don't think that he can rest unless he has everyone at least operating on some level better than they were. He's changed so many lives just for the creation of public housing alone. The most vulnerable, whose income levels are very, very low, wouldn't even really be able to rent on the private market. He was creating housing for them.
The funds that we gave out to the community built up the safety net of the health providers in Western Tidewater.
Gina Petrone led the Obacy Healthcare Foundation, which gives away about $4 million a year. George Birdsong was its first chairman.
So if you needed dental care, if you needed health care, that was really the focus, was to make sure that the people in that community had access to care. And George was a key leader in that initiative.
I have known the Birdsong family most of my life, and I've always felt like the key to leadership was the ability to develop followership, and I think that that George has that ability in his own quiet way, that when George suggests that you should do something, it strikes home and you should do it.
George went to the University of Virginia Law School, as did I, and I think the thing that probably influenced me most to come back to Suffolk and try to live next door to George was the fact that he prepared the synopsis of the Trust and Estates course that was used by everyone at the University of Virginia, or by a number of us, and it was typed, by the way, by Sue. It was all on yellow pads, kind of like this little yellow pad here. I only qualify for a little yellow pad, though. Unlike George, he has the big ones.
George Birdsong is famous for his big yellow notepads. And no matter how many there are on his desk, he knows what's on each one of them. Whether it's numbers from Birdsong operations in 13 states or details about his nonprofit leadership for Virginia Wesleyan, Randolph-Macon, the Virginia Foundation for Independent Colleges, the United Way, the YMCA, the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and most recently for the Hampton Roads Business Roundtable.
And he really takes the deep dive and understands what's going on, reads everything. You're aware of it when you're in the meeting because you can make a comment, and he was, in a very respectful way, will correct the person and say, well, that's not exactly what that says, but never, you made a mistake. It said that's not exactly what was said.
I've worked with George for 43 years. In 2004, I read an article in the New York Times about this miracle, actually medicine, that was saving tens of thousands of starving children. And it turns out it was a peanut paste. The New York Times called it a miracle, and essentially it is. I mean, for less than the price of a bottle of wine in a restaurant, you can save a kid's life.
It was a terrific idea, I felt, that could do so much good for so many people. The latest aspect of that is our involvement with Operation Smile. And I was reading a newsletter that said some of the kids were coming for the operation, but were not healthy enough to have the operation. And I said to myself when I read it, I said, well, we've got the perfect product for that. If we can save the kids in Africa that are starving, we ought to be able to save the kids in other countries that are waiting for this Operation Smile, cleft lip, cleft palate type of operation. I think they're already applying this in maybe 13 countries, and they're expanding it day by day.
Birdsong Peanuts is one of the most influential peanut companies in the world. In fact, later this year, we'll know more about how to grow healthier peanuts, because George Birdsong persuaded the industry to fund research on the peanut genome. But even with a global business to run, George Birdsong never forgets his friends.
We have a daughter who, when she was 16, was babysitting some small kids. While she was there, her boyfriend got into a car wreck, had to be taken to the hospital. Martha and I couldn't be reached, so who did she call? She called George Birdsong. So George gets his briefcase, he packs up the work he was doing, hops in the car, goes over to the house where Beth was babysitting, takes over the job. Beth goes to the hospital, and I've often wondered what the people whose children he was babysitting thought when they came home and found George Birdsong with his briefcase full of his work.
George Birdsong is a man in full, as great a friend as he is a quiet force for good, a leader who looks to the future.
He's got this unquestioned credibility that allows people to coalesce around him and actually perform at levels they didn't even know they had, because they have a leader that inspires them, because they see that he's sincere and incredible in what he does.
I've never met anybody like George. I think he's the finest man I ever met.
I don't really know of anybody I respect more.
He's always calm. He's frank, but the kindest man you'll ever meet.
He's always faithful to missions, and he doesn't stop until the job is done.
Dad, we're very excited about you winning the award. You've been a great role model for all of us.
Dad, congratulations on winning the Darden Award. We're so proud of you. Continue to do so many wonderful things, not only here at Birdsong Peanuts, but also for the community of Hampton Roads. Keep up the great work. We're so proud of you.
Dad, congratulations on being the Darden Award recipient. It is so well deserved, and you have endless energy for helping others through your time and your gifts and your leadership. So proud you're my dad. Love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Civic Leadership Institute is proud to present the 2017 Darden Award for Regional Leadership to George Birdsong.
Good evening. It is nice to see so many of my friends. To get this many of my friends, I must have paid a lot of money. But anyway, I appreciate you coming. And I thank you for listening to the video and my accent. But you know, I'm from Suffolk, which is the most southern part of Hampton Roads. So you have to excuse our accent a little bit. It is a surprise and honor to receive the 2017 Darden Award. I knew Josh Darden well, but not as well as some of you. He certainly was a great civic leader, and he led so many of us, and so it is great that we can follow his footsteps. In fact, I am embarrassed to receive this award because when I see those have been before, like Josh, I know that my service has not merited what theirs did. But when I was thinking about my conversation for tonight, my first thought was to give a talk about civic leadership. But then I realized that each one of us in the room has probably been to numerous leadership training classes in high school and college and business and whatever. And so I decided not to take that route, but instead to share with you why my leadership was something that I wanted to do. And my involvement has always been because of the background that I've had. When I first came back to Suffolk in 1964, I joined the JCs, which is a service club, and they had a creed that said two great things, I felt. One is the first phrase, faith in God gives meaning and purpose to human life. That really struck me because I think that really is true. And the second one was that service to humanity is the best work of life. And so as I participated in this JC organization and repeated the creed many, many times, it became ingrained in my thought process. Community service is a noble endeavor, and I have been heavily involved. However, I could not have done all that I did without the support of my wife and partner of 56 years, Sue. Sue, where are you over here? Stand up, you deserve it. I would also like to recognize our children who are at that same table, Ann Cabell Pierce, David Birdsong, and Charles Birdsong, who you saw them on the video. I didn't know they were going to be on the video. They have surprised me, and I appreciate it so much. And then when I think back and I think of how many different meetings I went to, and I left Sue there at home taking care of the kids, and the kids were always kind to say, oh, is Dad gone to another meeting? And that was probably true. But one of the major things that has helped me do what I've done has been our company, Birdsong Peanuts. That has been essential in allowing me to serve. They have supported me in almost every imaginable way. For some reason, community service has always been in my DNA. My parents and Sue's parents were all active in civic and charitable endeavors, and they provided good examples for me. I feel strongly about civic involvement because good civic involvement provides the backbone and stability for a good society. Engaging in good civic activities provides goodwill and a sense of hope that renews people's faith in humanity and strengthens the bonds between them and between communities, between cities, and even between our beloved Hampton Roads. The civic service concept was perhaps best exemplified in President Kennedy's comments in 1961 in his inaugural address when he said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." Now, substitute for the word country words such as civic organizations, neighborhoods, schools, hospitals, and all churches and all those deserving organizations that are just crying out for us to join in to help them. Civic involvement is something that not someone else's job. It is a job for all of us. Civic involvement is a responsibility of all of us. We all know that we cannot be involved in every good civic endeavor. Therefore, we must choose which ones to get most involved in. My point is that every individual should choose some civic involvement to be connected with. Many civic organizations have a slogan or a motto regarding good civic works. For example, the Boy Scouts say, "Do a good deed daily." Rotary motto is "Service above self." I could go on with good mottos from other organizations, but you get my point, that good deeds and service are important. And of course, there are numerous references from the Bible regarding helping others and doing good works. One of my favorite is from the Old Testament, and it's found in Micah chapter 6, verse 8, where it says, "What does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with thy God?" And then in the New Testament, in Matthew, the 7th chapter, the 12th verse, we find the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. These references apply to us as individuals and to our companies. T.H. Birdsong, the founder of Birdsong Peanuts, over 100 years ago, set an example for our younger generation by participating in civic community activities. He was mayor of the city of Suffolk in his day, and Sue's father was mayor of the city of Suffolk in 1974, when the city of Suffolk and the county of Nassau merged together to form the new city of Suffolk. Our second generation of Birdsongs also continues this civic involvement and in fact created the Birdsong Trust Fund to benefit the community. The third generation, of which I am a part, has continued this tradition and has in fact expanded the charitable commitments. The Civic Leadership Institute was started in 1996 by Josh Darden and a group of dedicated leaders seeking to get our citizens engaged in community service and engaged in giving back. The Civic Leadership Institute sponsors leadership classes every year. And you've heard various ones say that class was the best and all. Well, I'm so old that I was in the class, the first class that Civic ever sponsored in 1996. And I would say that we had the best class. Now, listen to a few of these names that were in my class, so to speak, the class of 1996. Frank Batten, Bruce Bradley, Dr. L.D. Britt, Sam Glasscock, Harry Lester, and Bill Van Buren, and they all are still serving today. That's what the leadership class wants to inspire. Our civic leadership class and others that followed learned that every good civic effort, even small ones, contribute in some way to the betterment of our community. Everyone benefits when someone serves. And we enrich our lives by serving others. There's great satisfaction gained in life through doing something helpful for someone who cannot return the favor, but only say thank you. And often you don't even get the thank you. Nevertheless, you have served your fellow man, and that is what is important. There's a story that took place in a small town in Mississippi that I want to share with you. A woman was walking down the street, and she noticed a young boy who was not wearing shoes. She asked him why. He replied that he did not own any shoes. She took him to a nearby department store and purchased shoes for him. As they left the store, the young boy went one way and she the other. She hadn't walked very far before she felt a tug on her coat. She turned around and the little boy looked her straight in the face and said, "Are you God's wife?" She was shocked, and to be so addressed that way, she paused and said, "No, but I'm one of God's children." What a wonderful response. Each of us is one of God's children, and God's children help and serve others even though they are busy with their own lives. I have been accused of being a workaholic, and I'm not going to deny it too much, but they say that when they see my many yellow pads and the notes and list on my yellow pads. And I have a sign in my office that says, "Life is a series of yellow pads." And I subscribe to that wholeheartedly. Well, I don't intend to slow down, and I'm certainly not going to stop to replace my yellow pads with an inefficient computer. When the electricity goes out, your computer is dead, but my yellow pad still works. The value of an event such as tonight is to stimulate and to encourage civic engagement and to ingrain the notion of civic service. I have shared with you some of my background, quotes, and sayings that have influenced my life and that have provided the reasons for my involvement and commitment to civic activities. I want to close with the same phrase of the J.C. Creed I mentioned in the beginning, because they mean so much to me and I hope to you. Faith in God gives meaning and purpose to human life, and service to humanity is the best work of life. Thank you, and God bless us.
We will adjourn in just a few moments for coffee and dessert in the rotunda, and if we can persuade her, maybe Sue Birdsong will give a master class in the fine art of courtship and relationship management, because I think she did a pretty fair job of it herself, don't you? No question.
thank you, George Birdsong, for your kind remarks and also for the life of service that you have led for the people of Suffolk, the people of Hampton Roads, and indeed the people of the world. We do want to make sure to let you know that Kay Kemper and Ann Connor have a few final words before we adjourn for coffee and dessert. Ladies? It's been a real privilege for me to be involved as chair of this event for the last 3 years. And I'm delighted to announce tonight that Mita Vale will co-chair next year's event with Kay Kemper. So, Connor out.
Josh was very intentional about giving Civic the grounding it needed to grow roots in Hampton Roads. But now it really is up to us to carry that legacy forward.
You may remember that 3 years ago, the Board of Directors authorized the renaming of our annual fund. It is now known as the Darden Fund. 2 years ago, we launched a class fundraising competition to see who really is the best class ever. And this year, still you and me, Bob, 02. This year, it was the Civic class of 2014. Any 2014s here? They were presented with an outrageous, larger-than-life trophy, which will go to a new class this coming May. Though I will say, Mr. Birdsong, of course, the 1996 class was the best ever because it launched the Civic Leadership Institute. Will it go to the class of 2014, or will it go to another class? That depends on the results of the Darden Fund.
Josh was proud of what we've all accomplished, so let's make sure we continue to succeed and contribute in ways that honor the gift of his life and his legacy.
In fact, next month, Civic alumni will be receiving in the mail an opportunity to do just that. If you're not an alum, but you've been inspired by the work we're doing, please reach out to any of the people that you've seen on the podium tonight, and we'll be happy to connect you with this organization that's doing such important work in Hampton Roads.
We also hope that you'll jot a note to George Birdsong at our table in the rotunda, because it's our tradition to present those notes to our honorees to enjoy long after this special night has ended.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you join me in thanking our co-chairs for this year's event? They have done such a beautiful job. And our civic scholars are presenting them with a small gesture of our appreciation. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Coffee and dessert are served in the rotunda. Thank you.